Hello, I'm Jeff Cronin with Convey, and I'd like to spend some time talking to you about data validation best practices in preparation for tax filing for tax year 2010. I'm going to spend some time talking through the most common issues we see on relating to TINs, addresses, and some general guidelines about how to handle the specific form considerations and what we're validating. Generally speaking, the data validation process is going on as part of a four-step cycle to file. First, you're extracting data from your payment systems, whatever source is actually paying individuals and require reporting. We then load that data into the 1099 system, and in Convey's case, we'll actually, at the time of load, validate that information against the IRS rules and regulations in the publications and form instructions. So at the time that you completed your load, you'll have a set of transactions or a set of transactions that are identified as being questionable in your reject bucket that you need to handle before you can do the last step, which is process 1099 data for filing. So we're going to spend some time talking about, first of all, TIN issues. So frequently, some portion of your payee community, the recipient universe, has no TIN, where you don't have one on file, or they provided you one that you know is wrong, it's transparently wrong, it's got 6 numbers in it, that kind of thing. Convey does require a TIN in its solutions, so we need some way to accommodate importing this data with no TIN, so we can provide the IRS with data on basically known bad recipients. If that form is subject to backup withholding and you have no TIN on file, I would hope, you need to talk to your tax department and talk about what your situation or how you're going to handle the mandatory withholding requirements. When importing, the tax pro solution offers a capability to do and complete an import on recipient records with no TIN. So something called the no TIN filter. Now that filter will actually automatically create an index number based on the information in the record, and that index number will let us keep track of that recipient and let we can look them up later and find out and make some changes to those records as necessary. The important thing about this is that you need to be using the no TIN filter on recipient import if you don't have a recipient TIN on file. So if you have any questions about this, please contact the support desk, and the number will be coming up shortly. The next area is address issues. The single most common validation issue we see is the city-state zip mismatch, where the zip that you have on file doesn't match the city and state in our database, according to our city-state zip database. There are really 2 ways you can handle this. One, validate these prior to import them. So if you can import them, validate them, find out what's wrong, export them, and fix them. Or you can go through and you can actually add city-state zip combinations to the zip database in the table by hand, which will let you get around this import issue temporarily. Now, if they're still wrong, they will be wrong, but we will allow you to basically get around it and get those recipients imported. But obviously, the preferred method is to correct them prior to doing an import if you can. The third area is form-specific validation. So each form has its own set of rules. And then when you look at those rule failures, what we commonly see is people who've done an import on a form that has had a box change. So if a new box is added, like was added to R this year, actually a new box number was added, then your import map may be mapping things out of step by 1 level, in which case you may need to alter your import map to correctly place the amounts in the right boxes to avoid any kind of reject processing. Now, most frequently, you'll see a really large percentage of your import file reject if this is what the problem is. So if you do run a reject, run an import and end up with a few dozen rejects, it's more likely that you have a specific example in your data that are causing you to have a reject. Now, you're going to have to look at these on a one-off basis. Now, you can open up individual rejects. You can go through the drill down and show the form. The example on screen is an example of the sample where the boxes don't total up properly. And in this case, it's probably a data problem where the gross distribution and the federal income tax withheld were reversed or something along those lines. So you'll need to look at that data and say, do I correct this? Is this a systematic problem? If it's not a systematic problem, you have the option of correcting it individually. You can delete the form itself and say, oh, this one's just bad, I'll do a new one. You have several options available to you, but you should look at fixing those by hand later in your process. Obviously, if you have any questions, you can go to convey.com, or you can call our support desk at 1-888-303-1099. For the most recent news and events in the 1099 space, go to our blog at 1099news.com. This has been Jeff Cronin, and I thank you very much for your time.